Just quickly adding, I see Vanessa has joined us, Lydia in Ottawa as well. Hi, Aline, how are you?
Hello, Roger. I'm fine, and you?
Good. Nice
So
to
nice to.
nice to catch up with you. I have to ask, what is the temperature in? Are you right in Mexico City?
Yes, I'm in Mexico City, and it's a spring day, very warm,
What
beautiful day.
what is warm to you? What's you guys Celsius?
I'm not sure. It's like about 20 or so. I think it's
We
good.
we woke up
But
to snow here in Toronto.
oh my goodness, wow! But I think it's beautiful, right?
Yeah.
Anyways,
It's beautiful after a while. We just had 5 months of it. We're done with snow. We're,
I get it.
we're very
Yes.
good. Mind you, it's April, May is kind of a funny time in Canada where we can have plus 20 and then 2 days later we wake up to a blanket of snow as well. So it's something we've just kind of gotten used to as well. So um,
Oh.
I'm gonna just take a couple minutes, Eileen, and
Okay, perfect.
do an intro for you.
Okay.
I've known you for many years, and I'm absolutely honored to be able to have a chat with you for the next hour and pick your brain and see what you're thinking. And I have to be careful as well of the nuances I use where I said, pick your brain. I was chatting with somebody in Germany and I
Mm-hmm.
said, I see Mazdi has joined us as well from Mexico. I said to this person in Germany, let me get right back to you. I'm swamped right now. And he sent me a text and he asked how the flood is coming along. I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, I Googled English and swamped means your house is going through a flood. I'm like, I'll have to be
No, no,
careful on my nuances that I use. So, um,
don't worry.
so Eileen Bortoloti has an
Yes.
extensive international multidisciplinary career in fashion and communications. She has a degree in social communication at the prestigious School of Communications and Arts of the University of Sao Paulo in Brazil, where she grew up, specializing in PR, public relations. The beginning of
Yes.
her career in fashion was in the 1990s as a model first in Brazil and later in Mexico. Since then, due to her knowledge of fashion in front of the cameras and behind the scenes, her innovative mind, leadership skills, and entrepreneurial soul, she has worked in different roles within the fashion industry. Eileen is the owner and creative director of her namesake jewelry, accessory, and limited editions casual chic wear brand, Eileen Bortolotti. She is co-founder of Libreria Showroom, a creative space for Mexican fashion and design brands. She was an advisor for the Fashion Council of the fashion section of the newspaper Reforma from 2017 to 2018, and has also been invited as a fashion expert on several occasions for their Fashion Alert program, analyzing the most important fashion events and red carpets of the year, which I believe she is doing this evening as well. During 2017 and 18, Eileen served as a regional director for the Fashion Group International of Mexico City. FGI, for those that don't know, which is where I met Eileen, was here in Toronto. We met in New York. FGI is the world's largest fashion-driven organization, over 5,000 members that are heavy in the fashion and design sectors, and as well served on their board as a PR director from 2015 to 2016, and is currently on their advisory board, still giving back as well. Currently, you can hear Eileen on her podcast, Fashion Voices, interviewing the most influential voices in the Mexican fashion industry. So with that, Eileen, thank you.
Wow.
I'm absolutely honored to chat with you today.
Oh my, the honor is mine, Roger. I'm so happy to be here with you. Thank you for the introduction. I feel so happy to hear the way you spoke about me. So thank you very much. I'm so happy to be here. And
Yeah,
this year being a jury member, I'm so happy.
yeah.
Thank you.
No, it's my honor. And I may chat occasionally as I see people joining our
Okay.
group. I'll have to say hi to Alexander King Chan. Alexander is a very well-known designer and also does a film production out of Taiwan. I have a world of respect for Alexander. So very, very happy to see him joining us as well. So it looks like we've got people from all around the world joining us. I want to start off just, it's the elephant in the room.
Yes.
Is how is COVID? How is Mexico City? How is your industry dealing with this health crisis right now? We're past a year. Some countries are doing well. So, Toronto, we're still under a lockdown in our area as well. How are things in Mexico?
Well, it's been a challenging time here in Mexico and everywhere, but now we are having the opportunity to do more. Like as the cases are going down little by little, like we are taking very good care, wearing masks, staying at home as possible, as much as possible. But also we are starting to do more things. I talk about myself that I've been working more. I've been, how do I say, getting back to my showroom. Is it possible now? Last year was very difficult. We were a long time in lockdown. A lot of business suffered a lot, especially in fashion, restaurants, and all the industries. But now I think it's springtime, and we are getting more activities now. So, but it's challenging yet because the customers, it's not an easy time. Yeah. But we are always positive and trying to, keep going, keep rowing. But it's
Mexico City is one, for those that don't know, Mexico City is actually one of the largest cities in the world. So Toronto, we're only 2.7 million, but the surrounding area of Toronto is around 5 million. And if I'm not mistaken, Mexico City is there's some stuck in my throat, north of 30 million. Is that correct?
Mexico's 18, I think. Mexico City. It's and here in the city, but we are getting like the vaccination program and everything. So it's little by little. I think we're closer to being back, not to normal. I think normal is not an option. Yeah. we all evolved. Sure. I think it's like we're going to be closer to, but little by little.
Yeah. Yeah, I see Felipe had just joined us as well.
I'm sorry, Roger. I want to say hola para todo el mundo, hola, que se está uniendo. Gracias por estar aquí, because I'm seeing a lot of friends and people from Mexico. Thank you. Gracias por estar aquí con nosotros. Thank you, Roger. I'm sorry for the interruption. I just had to say hi because I'm reading some comments and I'm so happy to see them here. And so I have to tell you also.
Please, no, interrupt me anytime. I see there's a number from Brazil as well, which I know is Portuguese, so I'm sure, yes. And Mazdi as well. I believe Mazdi is right in Mexico City, and Mazdi, we're actually going to chat about Mazdi in a little bit as well. So, we both work in industries that are very heavily driven on parties, events, gala evenings. We get dressed up. It's weddings. How are you seeing, not only your brand, but, the brands that you work with? How are they adapting? How are they changing? Is it online business? Are they changing their product SKUs with the way the world is right now?
You just said about the events, the galas, and the red carpets. I miss them so much because, 1 year without them. But what I'm seeing now, they are doing here in Mexico, the brands are starting to do different kinds of events. Like you have to book a time, like an appointment to go. It's kind of hybrid. They have like codes to go where, mask wearing is a must. And also washing hands and gels and everything. But it's getting there. And most people, including myself, my brand, we went online, like the store online. In my case, I put so much effort at my online store and everything I communicate through the, social media. Right. And I think a lot of brands did it too. I saw it like Fashion Week Mexico went digital. Yeah. everybody went digital.
Yeah.
But we didn't stop. That's important. Like we paused, but we didn't stop.
Yeah. And let's just, we'll segue into talking about your brand. You've been involved in all aspects of fashion. Why did you decide, and I know you do more than just jewelry, but jewelry, and I'm fascinated by the
Yes.
jewelry industry. I won't say I'm a capitalist, but you know, there's nothing wrong with making money. And you know, the jewelry industry is, aside from it being such a great margin industry, it's also an inexpensive part of fashion that we can change up a look so fast just with jewelry. Why did you decide jewelry, if I can ask?
I wanted to, I love this question, Roger, because I want to communicate through my pieces. So as I study communication, and fashion is my passion, I was like, okay, how can I combine it and have and be able to people wear meaningful things. So I decided to invest, to create oh my God, jewelry. And also, as you say, like changing accessories, like jewelry, you can change the whole look. So it's an important thing of what I think now.
Yeah. So where, if I can ask, a lot of the inspiration, you've got beautiful twin daughters, and I think they're in their teens. Do you get inspiration from them, or is it just your own experiences on travel? Where do you get the ideas for it?
My inspiration is the people I see, the places I visit. It's nature, positive energies, strong. How do I say? The women I met. Everybody inspires me. I take every opportunity I have to be inspired. I travel. I get to travel, and I have a background like of living in Brazil and Miami, and here in Mexico. It's great to have all this in my mind and translated to my pieces. So it's mostly there, my inspiration. And you talked about my daughters, and we just did something that I'm very happy and I feel very emotional about it, because we decided, like, as we are here, we decided to do a special collection for Mother's Day. So we created it's a capsule collection. But it, you know, it's closer to my heart. I just loved it. I just love it. And we are launching this next week. I couldn't hold the news last week, and then I said it, and then I showed it, because I'm so happy. They participate a lot in the creative process at this collection. And I also, in my house, like I ask them a lot, like my daughters and my husband, who is a great marketing advisor, consult. He's like amazing marketing. So we are always chatting here about fashion, products, ideas. It's a very creative house.
Yeah. I can imagine. I can only imagine the stress your daughters must have on choosing a Mother's Day gift for you, of all people.
No, it's easy, Roger. They are my gift forever and ever. So it's like breakfast is fine, flowers is fine, but their present is like their presence is enough. I love them so much, and they're always here and always supportive of me, of my career, and you know, so much love.
Yeah, you're very blessed to have that as well.
Thank you.
I love the fact that you have such a strong communications background. I'm going to talk about storytelling in fashion, and for those that don't know, Aline is also one of our official judges this year with the Canadian International Fashion Film Festival. And I'll talk about our jury in a little bit. We pride ourselves with the Canadian International Fashion Film Festival, CANIFFF, on having jury members from around the world. This year from India, from Vietnam, from Mexico, some here in Canada, from the UK, Italy, Caribbean, I could go on.
Wow.
On making sure that the jury understands both the film industry, the fashion industry, and what to look for, because fashion films, you know, for those that are listening in, is the new, you know, format of storytelling. And I know you've been in communication forever. My question to you is, over the years, how have you seen communication changing to
Wow.
a brand to the consumer, or a designer's collection, instead of having the traditional runway? You and I both have long histories in fashion weeks. I was with Toronto Men's, Toronto Women's here in Toronto for 8 seasons, the largest fashion weeks in Canada. And those days are gone, where it would be a $50,000-$100,000 runway for a designer. And the market's changed as well to who's watching that. And now, for a fraction of that, they can produce a fashion film showcasing 1, 2, 3 of their pieces and hit a global market, with their digital content. I'm getting way off track in my comment, but you, of all people, with such an incredible background in communications, I'd love your take on that.
Oh, wow. You said it how I think it. How do I start? I think it's amazing to combine the things. I think the evolution of the communication these days, last year was like, whoa, amazing. And everybody went online, who was offline, who were offline, or disappeared or get on the bus to online. And also, I see communication like, I love the traditional media, like newspapers, print, magazines. I love it. I love the touch of the paper, and television. I love it. But I also see a great value added in all the technology we have now, and the opportunity we have to be our own editor, our own filmmaker, our own spokesperson. I think it's important nowadays that we get to be a media. We get to have our own channel of communication. So I see evolution. I think it's good. I think it's good. I think it's like, and specifically talking about fashion films, last year was amazing because we saw the presentation of the runways, as you said, in a different way, and the brands and the designers could tell a story for more people, actually, right? Because when you have a runway, you have limited seats. You have, of course, you have the bloggers and the media who can share it with the world.
Right.
But now it was like you in the front row seat in front of your computer. I know, but it's like you could see for yourself firsthand with everybody else, right? So it's different, but it's nice, I think. And for fashion films, like, and for the brands, and for the customers, and for the designers and filmmakers, I think it's a collaboration of a lot of factors and actors in the fashion industry that makes it great.
Yeah. Are you noticing the difference in Mexico for the fashion shows? Do you still have that same audience? Do you still have the live fashion shows heavily sponsored?
Last year's no. We like I didn't see a fashion show last year here in Mexico. Also, Fashion Week Mexico went online and was very good. Like, you can see all the shows of the designers there. It's on their YouTube channel. They were very creative in the way they presented their collections. I think it was fine. It was great. Creative. We are creative, like in the fashion industry, and then communications and filmmakers. We are all creative industry. Creative industry. So we found a way to communicate, because it was like we couldn't be physically present in a runway show, but we could see the work behind the brand. And I think it's important, Roger, like another thing that I think it's important is to see the work behind the brands, the process, how the designers work, how the brands work. So it's a challenging time, but I think we got the best of it.
Do you see, and I know we've got Mazdi on this, and Alexander King Chan, and some other fashion filmmakers from around the world on this chat, and as an official judge this year with CANIFFF, what do you look for? You've done countless fashion shows, being a model yourself. for many, many years, being a podcast host. For you as a judge, and also not just a judge, but as a consumer of fashion and what's going to capture your eye, what do you look for when you're channel flicking and what's going to capture your eye? You've got a very trained eye, but to put that aside and now in the viewpoint of a consumer, what do you look for?
Wow, I want to see the expressions of their creativity, of the brands, of the filmmakers. I want to see where they can go about the storytelling of the brand, of see fashion in a different way. Because it's different to see a fashion film than a fashion show. It's different. And what I'm looking for is to explore the uniqueness of each creative mind behind the process. Yeah. So I'm looking for, well, surprise me. I'm looking for different things. I love the fact that it's an international festival. So it's amazing to see different points of views from all over the world, like the productions that you have. And I saw that it's like 18 categories, right? And you had another one. Or how many categories are this year in CANIFFF?
Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, last year was 18. This year we're 20. We've added a CGI, computer-generated imagery on technology. Has just been fantastic, and we added community as well, where we're all suffering under this health crisis. So how, as a community, how can we come together, and what is your fashion film from a community standpoint? So yeah, we're 20 this year.
So I love to see all of this, and these two new ones that you mentioned. I think it's so important to be included, just for the motives you just said. And so I'm looking forward to see all of them, and to see how their creativity went this year, because we had time, we had limited resources, but also we had great creativity. So I'm looking forward to see the result of all of this combined.
I made a comment years ago, and I don't make smart comments very often. And my wife said, "You need to write that down." So I wrote it down and I put it on Instagram. It's way down my feed. But I had said, when the rules change, creativity thrives. And it's so true to exactly what you just said. When we're confined to our homes, when we don't have the $5, $10, $20, $50, $100,000 budgets for producing commercials, how do we still adapt? It's the same with retailers that didn't have an online presence. They either had already had an online presence, or they had to adapt fast to be able to sell their product as well. So to your point, yeah, I agree. It's going to be interesting to see the films, because we've now had a full year. Because last year we had our festival in October. We had 163 submissions from 37 countries, and some of them were actually COVID quarantine related, where now we're going into 2021, there's going to be even more that are quarantine and COVID related as well. Or there's not the big budgets. There's not a matter of the freedom going outside. Hattie has just joined us from Paris. An incredible filmmaker as well out of Paris. But yeah, I'm curious. And as official judge, with your eye, it's going to be a lot of fun to see, how people are thinking under different situations.
I'm so honored and so excited to be a part of the official jury. Wow, it's like I'm looking forward to see the work. I'm so thankful. Thank you for the invitation.
While we're on that comment, and because we have so many global fashion filmmakers on the thread here, I'm going to just take a couple seconds and just mention who Aline is sharing the judge roles with this year. We have Mei Ling, who is out of the Caribbean, 51 years in Trinidad and Tobago. She's got her atelier. Lorenzo Morello is a fashion lawyer based out of Milan. Stefan Karas, one of the top 10 women's wear designers in the world, based here in Canada, is on our jury. Ajay Shwarma, out of India, a filmmaker. Josh Wilson, a producer out of the UK, which is top 30, under 30 from Forbes. David Jays, who is the editor-in-chief of Dance Gazette, which is the Royal Academy of Dance, who just, they're now 101 years around. The Royal Academy of Dance, one of the top ballet companies in the world. So their publication is Dance Gazette, and David Jays is their editor-in-chief. Yourself, the beautiful Aline Bortoloti. We've got Alan Gamel, who is Her Majesty's High Commission for Trade for Southeast Asia. While we're on Asia, Cheri Fook, who is with Ye One, the largest media conglomerate in Southeast Asia. Cheri is the CEO, has joined as the jury as well. Jessica Mulrooney, a very famous stylist, brand ambassador, PR. I mean, she just does a million things. Jessica, just unbelievable background. And then we also partner with the French Embassy on they very heavily promote their filmmakers and their designers. So we have Stéphane Ashpool, based in Paris. Stéphane is known for his Pigalle district design. So Stéphane Ashpool is joining as well. So you're in good company, my dear.
What an amazing group to be a part of. Thank you very much for including me.
But it's everybody's got their own. That's what I love about fashion film, is somebody may have had a very heavy fashion aesthetic, and somebody else more cinematography and film. You know, what is that storytelling? You know, I mean, you're going to see it differently than Alan Gamel, than Jessica Mulrooney, to Lorenzo Morello as well. And that's what I love. I have zero say in who the winners are. It is literally the jury to go, you know, this is what we think, and then how we get together and collaborate. That's why I absolutely love the genre of fashion film, and how it's taken over the world as well. And even for Mexico, would love to see more out of Mexico as well.
Oh, yes, I'll take this opportunity to invite everybody from Mexico to participate more this year. If I may say something in Spanish, it's okay
Please.
for you?
Yeah, please.
Okay, I'll invite them, okay, in Spanish. Hola a todos, estaría increíble que pudieran participar en el festival este año con muchas más propuestas. México tiene cantidad de creativos increíbles que pueden hacer cosas impresionantes, y estaría padrísimo, emocionante tener mucho más trabajo de México. I'm just saying that we have here, Roger, a great community of creative minds. So we should all participate and send their works to CANIFFF to be a part of the festival. So I hope to see more Mexican work this year at CANIFFF.
Yeah, no, thank you. And Spain, actually, Italy, and the reason I'm mentioning Spain is Spanish speaking as well.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, Italy and Spain were #1. They were tied for #1 on the fashion films that are submitted to us from 37 countries. But Italy and Spain, #1 and tied for #1. And obviously, Spain is doing still a lot of Netflix films as well as we are in Canada. So yeah, the Spanish community is very, very well represented within CANIFFF.
Wow, amazing. Amazing. Well, #1, well, hope Mexico send a lot of more work. #3, now, yes, let's go for #1.
I love it.
Very ambitious.
I have to give a shout out to Lorenzo Morello, who just joined our Instagram live. Lorenzo is also an official judge, as I mentioned. Lorenzo, I'm going to be talking to you here. Aline Bortoloti is also an official judge with you this year. With CANIFFF. So Lorenza is been around the fashion industry forever in Italy, and I think she studied in New York as well. But just such an incredibly well-rounded background. You know, the exact same with you, Aline. I did want to talk a little bit about Mexico and the creative industries in Canada. Our creative industries, you know, come obviously from our schools, and we're a little bit different than Europe, where, you know, the color wheel, they learn the color wheel in kindergarten. You know, they learn quality of clothing, where fast fashion isn't a thing in Europe the way it is in North America. But the schooling is absolutely secondary. What is the schooling, the educational system like in Mexico as a country for filmmakers, for fashion industry, for creative genres as a whole? Can you just talk about that for a bit for us?
Well, here in Mexico, nowadays we have like a lot of school of fashion here, but it's more like in the undergraduate level. We don't. It's not from the kindergarten, but we have art in school since we are little. I didn't study here, but my daughters, yes. So they have this background in arts and at school, but the main focus of fashion and communication goes when you go to undergraduate schools. And we have a great schools here in Mexico, as most of them, some of them are fashion group members also.
Wow.
Yes, they're involved in the community. So we have great schools in Mexico City for fashion and for communication. And I think the production of films and brands in general, it's amazing what they learn at school here to produce in the company. Well, I don't know if I answered your question well. I didn't know if you want to know like since school, kindergarten, or
no, but just what is the genre like? It's in Canada, obviously, color wheel is not something, the way it's taught. And the reason I bring up color wheel is they understand that just from such an early age.
Yes. Yes.
And in Canada, French is also our second official language. So we actually have English and French. But the schooling doesn't actually focus as much on the arts as in my opinion it should. It's then taught later on, where other more so. I wasn't sure, what Mexico was like, from the creative genres as well.
No, they have art since they're little. In my case, in Brazil, I didn't very much at my first years. But then at school, at the university, we had a lot of information. That's when my mind just went like, whoa. And of course, as I started at working as I was 15 years old, like as a model, I could see different sides of the industry. But in educational, I think it should be more arts. Like I'm talking about what I went through in Brazil, and the reality of my daughters here in Mexico is different. They learned a lot more arts at school than I did.
Yeah.
But later on at the undergraduate school, they have a lot of information, and also you can choose what you want to study. So,
sure.
And we have great schools in Mexico.
Yeah, that and the culture, I mean, is absolutely. I've never been to Mexico. My older sister lives in Colombia, so I get my fair share of Spanish and whatever have you.
Wow.
I wanted just to take a little bit, just talk again about fashion films. Again, I'm so happy Mazdi joined us. Mazdi on Instagram goes by @MazdiSnob. She had a fashion film with us last year called The Sacrifice of the Rose. It was absolutely brilliant.
Wow.
And she was official selection with us and as well around the world, and honestly represented Mexico very, very well.
Great.
What is the actual film industry like? I'm not sure if you know the answer on this one, but in Toronto and Canada, thanks to our lousy dollar, we get a lot of American and European films done here. So we have a very, very mature film community. Do you know what the film community is like in Mexico?
Well, I'm not. It's a tough one, but what can I say? We have great directors, like Oscar nominees in Mexico, but the production, there are films being made here and outside, but I'm not very familiar with the industry. I know a lot about fashion and film. I have to learn more, but it's something that I enjoy a lot. And I know that we have great directors, great actors in Mexico City, and you can see at the Oscars, like they won a lot. And also the films that are made here, in the series Netflix, and I love to see the industry, the film industry is growing. I don't know the numbers to share with you, but I can see it. I watch it, and I don't know. I congratulate it because I know it's a very difficult time to do all that.
One thing about Mexico is it's easy to stereotype from a positive. It's colorful, the food,
yes,
the visuals, the buildings. Canada, and I mean no disrespect to my country, but because we're made up of so much immigration, Toronto alone, 52% of our population in Toronto was not born in Canada. There's 170 languages in Toronto alone. So, we struggle with what is that Canadian identity? Who are we? Where you ask somebody, what is the Mexican identity? Oh, it's beautiful, colorful floral dresses. It's flowers everywhere. It's beautiful buildings. It's the food.
Architecture.
It's just, there's just so much.
Yes.
What do you, and where I'm going with that is you're many, many years in the fashion industry. What is the influence, in your opinion, that the Mexican industry is sharing with the world? So you've got those fashion brands now in Europe, they're in Asia, South America, they're in North America. What is that influence in your eyes?
I can see Mexico has a lot of industries that are reference to the world, like architecture, restaurants, like in the cinematography. I think like filmmakers. Mexico shows professionalism. I don't know how to say, like they're doing things great. In fashion particularly, I think we are consuming more locally, and it's time to get everywhere in the world, in the fashion industry. I think it's important now and due to this, like we are all online, I think it's the time to get internationalized, like that everybody hears about Mexico's fashion industry. And there are a lot of people working on it. And so that's why it's important to participate in festivals like yours and to be selling online to worldwide. I think it's the moment to think about internationally growing. And what I love the most here in Mexico is the architecture. I love to see the buildings. We have a lot of reference that inspires us. The restaurants here are amazing. The movies you see, the directors, the filmmakers. Wow, we have a lot of creativity to show everybody else. I hope everybody sees what's happening here.
Yeah, no, I love that. It's the fact that you guys have the population to support from internal. I mean, Canada, we're 36 million people. Mexico City alone has more people in your surrounding area than we do in our entire country. So I love the fact that, that you're supporting the fashion community, let alone, selling globally. Canadian designers, brands, are forced to sell globally. It's always been in our mindset. Yes, we want to sell within our local markets, but we have to think international, just because from a population standpoint, we're such a small country. That influence, I love to see it, obviously from a global standpoint as well. So back to my question then, the way the world is changing, where do you see opportunities? I'll find two of my questions. Where do you see the opportunities for a lot of creatives out of Mexico? In film, in creative, whether it's, I'll say working for Nike, the graphic artist for the Canadian International Fashion Film Festival, Liam Robertello, he's actually from Mexico City. He's living here in Canada now. So where do you see those creatives in the global stage?
I think now it's infinite. When you are in Toronto, I'm in Mexico. I couldn't imagine we chatting before. Like we had to be together as we were in New York. It was not that common. So now I see like it's infinite for everybody from all over, not just from Mexico, from Canada. like we're a global community now. So I think it's a blessing, you know, that we can, you said your own jury, you have people from all over, we are going to discuss and comment and one thing from all over. So there's no I don't know how to say frontiers, there's no borders, thank you for the word. It's like it's different. So I think the opportunities are infinite for the fashion community, for, you know, you can communicate with everyone everywhere. It's sometimes it blows my mind. It's so I don't know, I think it's a good time to be you know, a good time for fashion to be creative. You know, I know it's a challenging time. It's challenging for me, for my business, for everybody. I believe for the festival, for everybody, it's a challenging time. But we are also have to take this time as an opportunity to be infinite. You know.
Well said. I couldn't agree more. Where, you know, the world definitely is going through a correction, whether we like it or not. We're forced to rethink. On our thread here, Daniel J. Hatton had just joined us. Daniel is the CEO of the Commonwealth Fashion Council in the UK, dealing with 54 countries. And exactly what you were just saying, Aline, is exactly what, you know, he's going through on a daily basis on how do you bring the world together. They can support their own, but also, you know, shine on a global stage. I have to, you brought up New York. I have to tell you, share with everybody a funny story. I'm in New York on behalf of Fashion Group International during their global conferences, which they hold every year in New York from all of the chapters around the world. And I'm there with Jennifer Dawson, my co-regional director, and we leave the office on FGI in Bryant Park, and out of nowhere I hear Roger, and I'm like, I'm in New York City. Nobody knows who I am. It's like the second time I've ever been to New York City, and I'm looking around, and it's you, and it's like, Roger, nice to meet you, and I'm like, okay, that was just the craziest thing ever. And it was actually the first time I saw you, because we were following each other on Facebook and other social media. But where I'm going with that story is I have to talk about the gift bag, and I miss our industry gift bags. Dorian has just joined us. Dorian also has a film with us this year. Dorian, now's your time to bribe a judge on the thing here. I'm joking. That was a joke. So we get these gift bags with FGI New York, the regional directors that go in every year, and these gift bags are insane. Like, they are worth thousands of dollars, brands from around the world, and you've got the token guy in there, and I'm going through this gift bag, and there's like a chocolate bar for me. Everything else is for my wife. It is makeup, it is hats, it is like those. Our industry produces some incredible gift bags, as you know, with events, but the ones out of FGI are insane.
Well, great times, that conference. I miss them. Last year they didn't have, and I was not the director then, but I loved the time. And I remember when we met, and I remember the conference, and the gift bags. Wow. And it was difficult to carry it back, you know?
Well,
it was a heavy one. I loved it.
I went the year previous, and I got smart and took a carry-on just to be able to take the gift bag back from my wife.
That's an amazing idea. I was like, oh my God, how do I fit it in my bag? But it was amazing. It's the best gift bag. And the conference and FDI, great memories, and such a great experience, right? To be the regional director of FDI, our chapters, and being there, talking to everybody else from all over the world was very, I don't know how to say it. Gave me so much rich information, fulfilled. I love to see how they were doing things in different parts of the world, and to share our experience, benchmarking. Just an amazing experience. Being there in New York, I love it.
You've been with FGI in Mexico City for, you know, as a regional director in PR, and now you're on their advisory.
Yes.
What are some of the things, and that's what I love about FGI out of New York, because they've got all the chapters around the world, and they give us the autonomy to do our own unique things, because the market in Mexico City is different than Toronto, is different than Seoul, Korea. I remember, I'm not sure if you were there the one year, they held an event in Seoul, South Korea, that raised $200,000, and it was like, what are we doing wrong here in Toronto, for crying out loud? But what are some of the things that you do that you could share with us that are unique to FGI Mexico?
No, well, what I did in my years, we were like very focused on having the members, giving the members a lot of benefits, and I giving back, you know. Like we had a strong community. We had like we found during my period as a regional director, I was looking for places, cool places, very fashionable places to do our events, so people you know, get to new places, know new people. Also the professionals, we had our, you know, to give like a master class or talk to them, was very influential people here in the fashion industry. So this was a very unique thing we did. And also we had, I don't know if you had there in Canada, Night of Stars.
Yeah, it's been years since we've done Night of Stars here.
We did twice during my period, and it was like, whoa. We did it in a beautiful place in Chapultepec. Wow, it was a beautiful, huge place. We had star-shaped scenery. So it was, everything was, all the details were very carefully seen. And, you know, I remember it with a lot of love, you know, and I'm proud of my team and what we did. It was very, very good time. So the people, the places, and FGI and its own has its magic, right? Like when we connect, we support, we make the industry. I'm so happy to talk to you because we met there. And then we keep a relationship, a professional relationship. Like I see you on Instagram, you see me, what I'm doing. So, but if we didn't go to the conference, if you weren't member, we wouldn't have this connection. So I think people who are in the fashion industry and can be a member should be a member. So it's like, it's important. Connections matter. I think it's their hashtag.
And yeah, you summarized that beautifully. It's the networking in the industry, the opportunities. I say it nonstop. It's not what you know, it's who you know. But the who you know will get you into the door, and then it's what you know will then take over. But that who you know and that networking is absolutely, you know, paramount. And the large majority, you know, I talk about the 80-20 rule a lot, and in this case I'll say the 95%, you know, are incredibly kind, want to see you succeed, love their country, want you to be, they don't see you as competition, they see you as, you know, how can we grow together?
Colleagues,
Colleagues, yeah, well said.
Yes, that's the magic behind Fashion Group.
For those that aren't familiar, FGI, and I'm going to tie this into my next question to you.
Perfect.
Is FGI puts on events monthly, bi-monthly on professional encouragement, professional networking, helping you market your brand, bringing you around, exporting, you know, to various markets. I mean, it's all over the map what our schedules are as well. But it's you literally, you've got an audience for half an hour, 2 hours, you know, sitting focused on what you have. Where I'm doing a segue on my question is talking about today's attention span. And it's kind of a weird segue, but because you've got this incredible background in communications, we used this what's called a formula during our fashion shows in Toronto, where we would work with our sponsors and others, and we called it the guppy rule. And the guppy is a little minnow, a little fish that has an attention span of 7 seconds.
Oof.
And It was actually at FGI, and I'm not sure if you were there that year. They had the founder of Vine. And for those that are not familiar with Vine, Vine was an app similar to TikTok, but it was 6 seconds. You had to produce a video within 6 seconds and get your message across. And that's known now traditionally as the human attention span is 6 seconds. And in traditional media, television, movies, whatever have you, advertisements, YouTube, where you can click off after 6 seconds, they've already told you the message. They want to be able to tell you. That said, and I'm going to bring up your teenage daughters, for a second here. I'm 53 years old. I'm just as guilty of that attention span. Keep my attention span going, let alone having teenage daughters. Yourself as well, with a communications background, knowing that somewhere in there, there's a story to be told. How do you find, and fashion films were just as guilty, where it's literally a 1 to 5 minute fashion short to tell your story on your brand, product, or service. As a communications expert, first and foremost, what are your thoughts on that? The pros and cons on our short attention spans nowadays in all demographics and all generations.
I think it's more challenging now, of course, because in 6 seconds, but also it's more creative. You have more elements. You see, like now in Instagram, they have the reels. It's like 15 seconds. It's different. They have like a lot of new formats, and I think it's challenging. I think it's difficult to say a message in 6 seconds, but you have to. Now you have to be creative to be able to communicate in 6 seconds. You remember the elevator pitch, like when you had to tell a story in the time you were in the elevator? I think it's this now, but shorter, a little bit shorter.
Sure. Yeah.
But we have to pitch our idea right away and catch the attention right away. Sometimes you are watching things like on automatic, like just scrolling, and sometimes you stop and then you read. We have to find a way to be creative. Sometimes we stop to see things that really it's not that amazing or anything. It's just there, but it's a challenging time. Sometimes you see some videos going viral, and there's and you don't understand. In my case, sometimes I don't understand why some things go viral and other things don't. But it's the magic of it, it's the challenge of it. We have to be more creative. I think it's difficult to tell your story in 6 seconds.
Well, and 6 seconds being the start. 6 seconds being, you got to capture them within the first 6 seconds. And then are you good for an hour? Are you good for, 2 hours?
For example, in my podcast, I'll tell, when we are talking, sometimes I get carried away. I love it. And I stay there because there's so much information that the stories of people I interview. They are leaders here in Mexico City. They have different backgrounds. So I love to hear the stories. Sometimes I go longer, like because I don't want to limit to the time.
Sure.
But for example, the shorter ones are the ones with more views, more clicks, because people sometimes see, oh, I have to be here for 1 hour and a half or 1 hour, or I'll do it later, or I will do it in 3 times. But sometimes when you have like 20 minutes, 35 minutes, or a video, a YouTube video, we try to be less than 15, or IGTV stories less than 15. People stay there because they can, doing one thing and doing another thing. Now we are multitasking now. So we have less, every time I am organizing something, I put a podcast on. So I'm learning and doing another thing.
Sure.
So the attention, the time, we are very aware of our time now, I think.
Well, it's similar to the rise of Clubhouse, and Clubhouse still going through its beta stage where it's iPhone users only. I think they've opened it up, but it's literally voices. You don't see faces, and so it's more the professionals that want to learn, they want to feedback. But for me, which I love about especially these Instagram lives, is you see the expression, you
Yes.
see the passion in somebody's face and their voice. And I'm still one to be able to, that visual, that face to face, similar to you, whether you're doing a podcast or it's actually pre-recorded, even though you're using it as a podcast, but you're saving the video for later.
Yes, no, actually, I share the video in my YouTube channel. I think it's like we have to be in all the platforms we can, because there are people who want to see the faces, and the laughs that you hear is not the face that you see. So it's important to have it all. And at the same time, it's a challenge to do it all. Like, how many times are you going to invest in Instagram, Facebook, all the platforms?
Sure.
So planning, organizing, and multitasking.
One last question before we get kicked off. The hour goes by fast.
Oh my goodness.
I'm fascinated by demographic profiling, where 53-year-old bald guy, married 24 years, no kids, live in a sub. I have my demographic on who I am.
Okay.
And the brands that will cater to me. And at the same point, I think of you. You've got twin daughters, yourself, married in Mexico. You've got this background. CANIFFF, we're 25 to 35, predominantly female, that are looking at creative industries and creative markets. Do you find, though, how much there's a difference in we'll talk about your brand, for example. It's jewelry, it's clothing. How do you find that to fine-tune a demographic profile for your brand when you may want your daughter's demographic or 25 to 35, 25 to 45, which is where the money is? How do you find that influences within the fashion industry?
My brand is more there 25, 45, definitely. The people, my customers, my clients are much more that age. But also you have like the secondary groups that are there too. I have younger customers and older customers. Clients or customers, I don't know how to say it. But it's I when I create my products, I don't go to a specific age group. I want it to be universal, and I don't want it to be like seasonal in my case. But my clients are mostly 25, 45.
Okay.
For sure. And people who are, I don't know how to say, rebuying. Like they buy one time and then they go the other time. They want to know more about the brand. So they are very loyal to my brand.
We call them repeat customers.
Okay, thank you. New vocabulary for me. But so I have a lot of these customers. So I'm very grateful. It means they like the quality, the design, the experience with my brand. So I feel very honored to have customers like that. And but my target, my main group, my main customer is that age group.
Okay.
And I don't know for CANIFFF, I don't know, it's like 25 to 35, you said?
25 to 40, 25 to 35, but 25 to 45 as a whole for CANIFFF.
Yes. Yeah, there's like my group too.
It's similar demographics.
Yes, yes.
I still have a massive list of questions. I knew you and I were going to go off on tangents, but just a couple last minute ones.
Okay.
If you had a choice, travel wherever you want, nonstop, or an incredible wardrobe, what would you choose?
Travel nonstop, whatever I want.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay. And as far as a collaboration, if you were to have a dream collaboration, who would it be? Would it be a person? Would it be a place? Would it be a brand? Who would be a dream collaboration with you?
Well, I've never thought about it. Never, let me think quickly. Massive collaboration. I will do it with a brand.
Would it be you personally, or would it be your brand with another brand, or could it be your brand with a celebrity?
Oh my, you just brought, I don't know. My brand, I'd love to have a collaboration from my brand. no, myself. I'd love to collaborate my brand and another brand. Is it possible?
Sure.
Yes.
Sky's the limit. The
And that
question's open. It's just
amazing. I'd love
it's
to collaborate with
very much
Diane von Furstenberg. I mean, I love her
okay.
work and her fashion sense and commitment, and yes, her.
You met her at FGI, didn't you?
I didn't. I met Rebecca Minkoff, but no Diane.
Okay.
No.
I think she was there the year after she came to
Yes,
one of
I
the conferences
didn't.
as well.
You
Wow.
know, I missed it for 1 year. I can't believe it.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, same here. I was supposed to go that year, but instead we only send two every year within Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
So I sent the one that was going to take over my role. So I sent and our program director instead to be able to experience. I had experienced it twice, and I would have loved to have continued going because it was absolutely fascinating. But in closing, because we're about to get kicked off of Instagram,
okay.
I cannot thank you enough for your time. So excited to work with you within CANIFFF this year, and the filmmakers around the world, which you're going to be able to see all of their incredible work. The closing comment goes to you, Aline.
Oh my goodness. I hope everybody watch and submit their work to CANIFFF. Roger, I can thank you enough for inviting me for this to be a member of the jury this year. I am so excited to see all the work from everybody from all over. I think it's amazing that it's international. I think it's amazing the jury you have from all over. I'm super honored and thankful with you and expecting a lot. I have great expectations, and I hope to see a lot of Mexican work there too.
Yeah, well, thank you for that, and for just being such a great voice of the fashion industry in Mexico. Mexico is very blessed to have you. You are nonstop promoting the people of Mexico, the country on its own. Yeah, I adore you and everything you do, and so thankful to have you involved with us this year.
No, thank you for thinking about me and my career to be a part of this, and I hope to see everybody there too. And congratulations to you to keep the festival and the industry motivated and everybody motivated to be here this year. I think it's going to be great, and I'm super happy to be a part of it. Thank you.
Sure. Well, thank you so much. I know you've got a ton of other podcasts and interviews lined up for today, so I can go take a nap, but you're still nonstop.
I'll take another one right now, but thank you very, very much, Roger. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank to everybody who connect and who watched us too. Thank you. Gracias.
We'll chat soon. Thank you.